What's up, guys? Welcome to Access Live on June 14th. You can see we're in a different location this week. If you are a regular watcher of Access, all three of you. But today we are in my treehouse hideaway. You can see I have a hammock in the backyard, high up in the trees. And this is where I come to escape from my kids. If I ever just need a little bit of a break. My wife doesn't like it. She thinks it's too dangerous to be up here. But I think it's relaxing, freeing. So we are going to be doing Access from the leisurely location of the treehouse hideaway, the little hammock in the trees. Hope that doesn't bother you. Yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight. It's still all the same regular stuff. New location, same fun. We're going to have memes of the week here in a second. I've got a game for us. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to try and whack in some time of worship tonight as well. And then we're going to go on with our next big question, who is Satan? Which is one that came up last week. And we're kind of going to roll in a few of the others that came in as well about why did God create everything that is as well. So let's dive right in. Let's have some fun. Okay, so let's take a look. This week's memes of the week. Memes of the week. Okay, I enjoyed this one this week. Lifeguard shark. Don't worry, man. I know CPR. And then, unfortunately, my bad, bro. My bad, right? Sharks would not be good at CPR. Too many teeth. Too many teeth. Celebrating the last day of remote learning. Smashing up those computers and printers, right? You guys are finally free. It's summertime. Hopefully, no remote learning left. And when we go back in the fall, we can all get back to something resembling a little bit more normal. How people look writing 7 with a line through it. So, do you know anyone like this who writes the fancy 7s? They do the 7 and then they do the little line through the middle, and they're just a little bit more sophisticated than the rest of us, almost like elves parading through a forest. What a confusing time to be a pirate. Yeah, tell me about it, right? All these X's and spots saying you got to be 6 feet away. Where's the treasure, man? Where's the treasure? Just tell me. Me at 2 p.m. I need to eat better. Healthy. Me at 11 p.m. in the Taco Bell drive-thru, give me the garbage. That's unfortunately a lot like me. I've been trying to eat healthy. I thought, you start putting on the weight from the quarantine 15. You've been locked inside, eating all the goodies. You're like, man, I need to trim some weight. And you know what? I got a little bit of extra time here to work out, but I keep eating garbage. Did you see I did the dishes? Oh my gosh, I'll start the parade. I really like this because I know some of y'all and I know some of y'all's parents, and this is what it's like when you guys do the dishes. You're like, give me a parade. I did my chore. Hey, you going to sleep? Yes, now shush up. Every sea in Pacific Ocean is pronounced differently. You ever been in bed? I love these memes. These are ones that go around quite a bit. Oh, that's the downside of being outside. You get some loud things. But you ever been going to sleep on a night and your brain just has these weird thoughts that keep you up at night? And on this occasion, it's every sea in Pacific Ocean is pronounced differently. Think about that. That does kind of bother you when you spend some time thinking about it. Pacific Ocean. Every single sea is different. His arrival was foretold in the ancient murals. So someone here found a picture of the cat on a wall, and the cat arrived as it was foretold. I like this one. It's got a wooden frame, a wooden engine, wooden wheels, and a wooden gas tank. But did he ride it? No. Wouldn't start. Oh, man. Doing live videos and not having the laughter is painful. Final stage of manhood is being able to grow 4 mustaches. How many of you could do that? Look at this guy. He's got a mustache over each eye and then one above and below the lips. This is serious mustache power. This guy has reached the level that all men aspire to be at. You're not even watching the movie. Yes, I am. How many of y'all got someone like this in your family? You do family movie night, and you're kind of mad because someone's not watching the movie. They're just falling asleep. Happens to me every time. Janae, every time we try to watch a movie, Janae falls asleep on me. One time, I don't know why I'm whispering, she's not here. One time she fell asleep in the middle of Man of Steel, the Superman movie. That was it for me. Biggest fight of our entire lives. Couldn't take it. Dad, can you tell me what a solar eclipse is? No, son. Get it? No sun? Because the eclipse and the... No worries. No worries. Okay, this is one from Lucia Crucial. Alright, fellas, we need some way to come up with a lot of money, says Mickey Mouse. Remakes? And then, I've made it too small to see. Live action remakes. That makes sense, because Disney's doing a lot of live action remakes. And then the last guy says, great original content like we used to make. Mickey Mouse doesn't like that. Throws him out the building. That's right. We're not going to make any original movies anymore. We're just going to take the old ones and remake them. The Chow and Toilet Paper Bears. Another one from Luke Crucial. I love this one, right? Remember back at the start of all this when people were going crazy for toilet paper? It seems so long ago now. When you just sat down and someone calls for you. Oh gosh, this is the worst. This is the worst. I do this on a night, right? We put the kids down. You're like, come into the hidehouse, street house. And then they call for you. If 2020 was an avocado, mostly not much avocado. Now I love avocados, and if I cut this thing open, there'd be some issues. I love me some avocado on toast. I just eat avocados. You ever just get some avocados, put it in a bowl, put a bit of lemon juice on there, sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper? It's good stuff. But that right there is a sign that there's too much sin in the world, that the nuts have got that big. We are in 2020, and this guy right here is in 3020, having his own ecosystem and oxygen. Look at this guy. We've got a police officer here wearing his mask, and then this guy over here has got like a whole greenhouse over his head with all the plants producing oxygen. It's just totally crazy. The typical ending to a game of Monopoly. Oh gosh, Monopoly is hands down my favorite board game. But it's true, it ruins lives. If you guys were Monopoly players, you know what I'm talking about. You get to the end of the game, people are so mad with one another, they flip the table, they flip the board. Gosh, it gets crazy. My son got the Spider-Man costume he's been wanting forever today. I held him up in various positions and then photoshopped myself out. Turned out pretty good. That's next level, dad level. If this is the dad, maybe it's the mom level too. But this is like next level. Look at this. That's so cool. Looks like he's the real Spider-Man. Super awesome. Wish I could do that for my kids. Dear Lord, please don't let Brussels sprouts be a part of the cure for COVID-19 virus. If there are people on here who like Brussels sprouts, don't take offense to this. Just go talk with Jesus. Get free. Change your life. Don't eat Brussels sprouts. It's terrible. We're back to the shark. Okay, those are the memes of the week this week. Memes of the week. Yeah or nay? Let me know in the comments. Yeah or nay? Are we good or are we not? Abby Aarons is with us tonight. Dishwasher broke and you have to do the dishes by hands now. It's not fun. Guess what? When I was growing up, that's the only way you could do it. Because we didn't have a dishwasher. No, I'm just kidding. Dishwashers are nice. That's unfortunate. Okay, here we go. Let's see where we're at. Okay. Is it just 3 of us tonight? Hey, this is cool. This is great. Well, we'll go with the game for whoever's with us. It's just because it's so nice. Like, look, this is why I decided to come out and be in the hammock. It's so nice now. Look at the sun. We even got the sun right over there. This is perfect right now. Perfect. Okay. So here's the game for tonight. The game for tonight is I'm going to give you 5 clues to a movie. And you have got to guess what the movie is. And as always, you text your answers in. And the first person to text me is the winner. Now, we've only got like 3 people tonight, which means it could be real easy to be the winner. You just got to be faster than the other person. But here's the clue. Some of the clues, there's only 5 clues, and I'm going to do them one at a time, right? So you can text in whenever you're ready. Like, if you think you've got it from clue number 1, you text in straight away. But some of those fast clues might throw you off because there's a lot of different movies that the first few clues could apply to. So make sure that you take your time and you listen to as many clues as possible before you try and answer. But once you think you've got your answer, fire them back. Let's see who the winner is. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, I have my notes. Seeing as I don't have my desk like I normally do when we're in the hammock. It's so cozy though. It's so nice. And I just got this brand new hammock that keeps all the bugs out too, so I'm perfectly safe in here. Okay, here we go. You see the answers? Okay, here we go. Here's movie number 1. This is a movie. They're all movies. Clue number 1. It was originally a book. Now, you could take a wild stab right now. You could take a wild stab. I've got the phone right here. Take a wild stab. You might get it just from that one thing. Originally a book. But you might want to wait for the rest of the clues. We've got 5. Clue number 2. It tells the story of a group of children who travel to another world. We're adding more now. You think you know it? You could take a guess. You could take a guess. Clue number 3. There is an evil witch. Okay. It's all coming together now. There are only 2 clues left. By the end of all of these... Wait. Oh, we've got one guess come in. Wrong. Wrong. Lucas Plasinski, nice try, but you haven't got it. There is a lion. Clue number 4. There is a lion. So originally a book, tells the story of a group of children traveling to a different world. Oh, Todd Van Rossum with the win. Got it. Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. Nice work, Todd Van Rossum. And last clue was going to be a wardrobe, which would have given it away. Right, so did you get it now? Okay, you get 5 clues. At the start, it's really general. But by the end of it, you are going to definitely know it. So you want to try and do it before the end. But you don't want to go too early because you might not get it. Like, Tyler Plaskinski went for it. And he did get it in the end. He just texted and he got it in the end. But it's all pinging. I'll quiet that so the pings don't bother you. But, so he got it in the end. Plasinski's got it in the end. But they did not get it originally. They guessed Wizard of Oz, which could have fit the first 2. So, you gotta decide when have you got enough clues to go for it. Okay, so, currently in the lead, Van Rossum. Van Rossum. I'm guessing Todd's doing it for Brady. Okay, here we go. Movie number 2. Clue number 1, it's a Disney movie. It's a Disney movie. Clue number 2, it's about 2 princesses. Disney movie about 2 princesses. I know y'all are going to go for it. Y'all are going to go for it too early on this one. One of the princesses has magical powers. It's 3 clues. Clue number 4. It's a sequel. I just ruined it for so many people. Y'all were like, oh no, yeah, go for it, go for it, go for it. It's a sequel. And last clue. Oh, the Holloways went for it, but they were too early. They guessed Frozen, but it's not Frozen. It's not Frozen, it's a sequel. And one of the songs in the movie is Into the Unknown, which would make it not Frozen, but Frozen 2. The Holloways came back and got it. Nice work, Holloways. So, y'all did exactly what I knew you were going to do. I was mean on that one. I totally set it up like it was obviously Frozen, but it was really Frozen 2. I have nothing better to do, guys. I miss you guys, and I love you guys. All I can do is create mean games to try and make you guys fight over who gets to be the winner. But the Holloways got that one, so Van Rossum's got 1 point. Holloway's got 1 point. Okay. Movie number 3. Movie number 3. It's a Disney movie. Another clue at the top. Disney movie. Number 2. It's about a human in the jungle. Number 3. There's monkeys. Take a shot yet? Number 4. There's an evil tiger. Number 5. It's going to give it away. Baloo the Bear. Baloo the Bear is in this movie. Okay. Some of y'all on clues number 3. Hopefully, if I'm thinking I did my clues right. Jungle Book. Who was it? Ooh, so many people coming in at the same time. Let's see who got it, though. Who got it? Who got it? Who got it? It's handy. I can read the text messages on my computer. Ooh. Van Rossum's got it again. Van Rossum's were the first one to go Jungle Book. Nice. Oh, wait. I made a mistake. No. 30 seconds before. Abby Aarons. So now it's Van Rossums have got one. Holloway's have got one. Abby Aarons has got one. Ooh, okay. Three-way tie right now. Three-way tie. Interesting. Hopefully my notes went just on the computer screen. Okay. Movie number 4. It's a Disney movie again. Disney movies are too easy to pick. There's so many Disney movies. I might have to like switch around in this hammock. The sun is coming right here. Okay. 4. It's a Disney movie. It's set in Hawaii. Liar, Todd Van Ross. Van Rossums. Here's the thing is, I love the Van Rossums. They're some of my favorite people. But you know what happens when they lose? They lose it. They lose it when they lose. Okay. But 4th, clue number 1, Disney movie. Clue number 2, set in Hawaii. 3, one of the main characters is a gal. Number 4, the other main character's got a fish hook. A giant fish hook. Number 5. Oh, there they go. The Van Rossums definitely got that one. They definitely got it, that one. Nice whack. Nice whack. Nice whack. Moana. It was Moana. I love playing games. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rotate in this hammock because, y'all, the sun is right in my eyes. If I fall out the hammock, Lilo and Stitch. They had the other movie I was trying to trick you into ready to go. I don't know. Okay. This is going to be so tricky. Okay. This is awkward. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. So, like, I don't want to watch a dude turn around in his hammock at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Why am I watching this? Because it's going to get interesting. Okay. So that's 4 movies. The Von Rossums have now got 2 points. Holloway's, Aarons, you are 2 potential challenges. But there's a couple of movies left, so it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. Okay. Here we go. I should have foresaw this coming with the sun being on that side. Okay. Okay. Movie number 4. Here we go. Movie number 4. It's a superhero movie. The superhero, clue number 2, superhero is very rich. Very rich. Clue number 3, the superhero is very smart. Superhero is very rich, very smart. 3 clues down. Who's going to go for it? Number 4, he doesn't have a secret identity. Number 5, he's famous for his suit of armor. Obvious now. But tell me you weren't thinking about a certain pointy-eared Dark Knight on the first ones. Ooh, Iron Man. Who got it? Tom Van Rossum going for Batman. Holloway's went for Batman first. So did the Plasinskis, but Van Rossums, sneaky, they went for Iron Man. I'm going to give it to them because they said Iron Man first. They said Batman right afterwards, which is naughty. But I'm going to give it to them because they did say Iron Man first. Oh, the Plasinski's going for the same tactics, saying Batman or Iron Man. You got to pick the right one. I will not accept double answers from now on. Only one answer. Your first answer will count. Ooh, Black Panther. That could have been Black Panther too. Okay. So, Van Rossums, 3 points. Holloway's, 2 points. Aarons, 1 point. Wait, no. Do Holloway's still have 2 points? I think you guys only have 1 point too. Yes. Because it was Van Rossums, then Holloway's, then Aarons, then Van Rossums, then Van Rossums. Yes. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Movie number. This is not that much greater of a position, really, is it? I'm going to live with it now. It's not important that you see me, no matter how handsome I am. It's about Jesus. Okay, Jesus had that, and he's going to make me less handsome now. Okay, next one. Here we go. It's about toys. It's a movie about toys. Don't be thrown off, because you think you know what it is from that one. But don't be thrown off. It's only the first clue. It's about a chosen one. It's about toys. I'm in the hood. People shooting off fireworks like it's July 4th. What the heck? Passing out a game up. Okay. Clue number 1, it's about toys. Clue number 2 is about chosen one. Clue number 3, travel through different worlds. Travel through different worlds in the movie. Number 4, they have to learn to be a master builder. Number 5, it's about yellow people. You know what it is now. You know what it is after clue number 5. After clue number 5. See who's got it. Ooh, no one's got it yet. That explosion wasn't my internet connection. Ooh, someone made a go. The Van Rossums made a go for it, but they were mistaken. Oh, yeah. Abby Aaron's coming through. Lego movie. Abby Aaron's now got 2 points. It was the Lego movie. It's about toys. It's about a chosen one, Emmett. They travel through different worlds. He's got to learn to be a master builder. It's about yellow people. There it is. Abby Aaron's. She got it. 2 points. Okay. So, Aaron's 2 points. Holloway's 1 point. Van Rossum's 3 points. Abby Aaron's. This is the last one. Can Abby Aaron's come back? Okay. Don't you look at my notes. Okay. Last movie. It's a superhero movie. I'm going to give you one further. It's going to be clue 1.5. Superhero team movie. Superhero team movie. The team has 4 members. One of the members is super strong. Another one of the members is very stretchy. Can stretch. Clue number 4. The superhero team is also a family. Clue number 5. All of the superheroes wear red suits with a big eye in the middle. Ooh, Plasinski's went for Justice League. It's not the Justice League. Ooh, Van Rossum's went for Justice League too. Abby Aaron's, she did it. The Incredibles, she did it. The Incredibles. Ooh, so it is a 3-way tie between the Van Rossums and Aaron's. We gotta have a tiebreaker, but I didn't prepare one. Okay, let me think of one. Let's think of one right now on the spot. Right now on the spot, okay. I've got an idea. I've got an idea of how we're going to do this. So he's the tiebreaker. Van Rossum's. Everyone can play this still. You can still play this. Everyone can still play this. But the tiebreaker is this. It's a movie about toys. Clue number 1. Clue number 2. There's a spaceman and a cowboy. Clue number 3. There's a cowgirl. It's time to narrow it down. Clue number 4. At the end of the movie, the cowboy leaves. Clue number 4 is an important clue. Clue number 4 is an important clue. And clue number 5, it's the last movie in the series. Oh, y'all have gone Toy Story, but I need to know which one. Oh, Van Rossum's or Abby Aaron's. Which one's going to get it first? No one's got it yet. Several people have... Oh, just in time. Abby Aaron's Toy Story 4. Oh, I bet the Van Rossums are burning up right now. They're burning up. Burning up. It was Toy Story 4. Sorry, Abby Aaron's got it first. Yep, you definitely losers. I remember you sent me a text in here somewhere. It says, we don't lose. You lost though. But you're awesome, so we'll let it slide. Okay, Abby Aaron, you're the champ tonight. You're the champ. Okay. Hey, we've done memes of the week. We've done our game. And we've had fireworks going off in the background. We've had all kinds of stuff. But I want to do something that we haven't done yet on Access Live, and it's the reason we haven't done this. It can be tricky to do well when we're just doing YouTube live videos. But I thought of a way we could do this because a few weeks ago at Wednesday Night Live, I was able to record a worship song for Wednesday Night Live. And I got that video, and so I thought I would play that video today so that we could have a time of worship. And here's why we're doing this, is because even though we're not together, we still want to worship God together. We want to enjoy worshiping God together. And I miss singing alongside you guys. I miss worshiping with you guys. And so I wanted to share this worship song that it's a song that I wrote, and I've really enjoyed singing it. And I like sharing it with people a few weeks ago on Wednesday Night Live, and so I wanted to share it with us as a middle school ministry, and I hope it encourages you. I wanted to give you a little bit about what this song is really about. It's about a story from the Gospel of Luke called The Prodigal Son, and I wrote this song because I often feel like that prodigal son. I often feel like a runaway who hasn't really done what God's asked of me. And in many ways, I've loved other things instead of God. And I've chased other things instead of God. And I've spent an awful lot of my time in my life chasing things that are not as good as God. I haven't made him the axis of my life. And what's great about the prodigal son is it's a story about how that prodigal son came home to his father, expecting his father to reject him, to be disappointed in him, to not want him, to make him a slave in his house. But the message of that story, and really the message that Jesus wanted to tell that story for, was because the father actually loves the son and receives him with open arms. And that's what our faith is all about. It's about following Jesus, who, even though we have loved other things more than we've loved him, even though we have sinned, and we've sinned more than we can even count, and even though we've lived lives that don't honor God, we still have a God that loves us and chases after us and receives us with open arms and is excited when we come to him. And so I wanted to encourage you guys with this song. I wanted to worship and remember that that's who our God is. But I also want to encourage you tonight, wherever you're at, however you're feeling, God's happy to have you with him tonight. And I know he's happy to have you because he's happy to have me, right? And there's not really many reasons he's happy to have me, but he is. And he's happy to see you as well every time you come into his presence. So let's enjoy this worship song together, and then we'll come back together and look at our big question for tonight. But hopefully this blesses you. Let's just take some time to worship. Chasing all the things I ever wanted, spending all the gifts that I was given. Now I stand, aching to be filled and satisfied, in need of the Father that I had wished to die. House there's plenty, perhaps there could be room for me, not as his son but as a servant. Perhaps there could be room for me. This prodigal I go, planning out the words that I could tell him, knowing that he should not let me come in. Here I go, knowing words could never be enough, but yearning for the light found in his love. For in my Father's house there's plenty. Perhaps there could be room for me, not as his son, but as a servant. Perhaps there could be room for me. This prodigal is running home. I'm banking on my Father's mercy. This prodigal is running home, back to the place where it all began, back to the arms of the great I am. I'm coming here in shame and fear, wondering if you leave and let me near. But there you stand, arms open wide, running just to be right at my side. You dress me in your richest robes, you celebrate my Sunday's home. Your face so full of loving kindness. Now I'm changed forever by these. This prodigal is running home. I'm rescued by my Father's mercy. Yeah. This prodigal is running home, back to the place where it all began, back to the arms of the great I am. This prodigal is running home. I've been made worthy by God's mercy. Yeah. This prodigal is running home, back to the place where it all began, back to the arms of the great I am. Oh, back to the place where it all began, back to the arms of the great I am. Oh, back to the place where it all began, back to the arms of the great I am. This prodigal is running home. Well, hopefully that blessed you. I was just texting in the background with Mr. Van Rossum, Mr. Todd, and I was just saying how I love remembering that story. And I had a lot of fun writing that song, but I think I had fun writing the song because it's good to remember that story, this story about a God that is so much better than we think he is, right? Because that's the point of the story, is this son who knows he's messed up, he knows he hasn't been the son that he should have been, and actually by asking for his inheritance in the story, if you don't remember it, this son, before he leaves his dad, he says, I want my cut of my inheritance, and essentially he's saying he wants his dad to die, right, which is what we sing at the beginning of the song. But just remembering that same dad that was treating that way, that was abandoned by his son and had his son even wish he was dead, welcomes his son home and loves him completely. And that's why we gather together tonight. That's why we have this faith. That's why we want to make Jesus our access, is because we're remembering the God that loves us so much and takes us back every time. So hopefully that blessed y'all. It was good to remember that together and worship together. But now let's get to our big question. Big question. Okay, whoop, get to this side. So if you have missed out on some of the others, you can always go back and watch some of the access from the last few weeks. We've been doing this series called Big Questions. And really what this whole series is about asking some of the questions that we've always wanted to ask, or that we need to ask sometimes of our faith. We've talked about how do we know that there's really a God? How can we trust the Bible? Why is there so much evil in the world? Why did Jesus have to die? And this week is a question that you guys put in the chat last week, and I tried to kind of put a few together. One of the big ones that came up last week is, who is Satan? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about what does the Bible have to say about Satan, about the devil, and who he really is. And I think there'll be a lot of things we're surprised by, some things that we all kind of know, but some things that we'll be surprised by. And here's why this is more than just a question of interest, right? Is this affects our lives, because the Bible tells us that Satan is our adversary, he's our accuser, and he's our enemy. And so it really matters what he's really like, what the Bible has to say about him. So we'll jump into it, and we'll get in there. And in the midst of that, we're going to answer some other questions as well. I know some of the other questions that came up in the chat last week was, why did God create everything? And so we're going to start tonight's question by going to creation and going to God creating everything that is, because that's a part of understanding who Satan is. And so we'll take a look at why God created. I'm going to throw up some scriptures on the corner for us so we can take a look as we kind of go through this story together. And that's what we're going to do to answer this question. We're going to just kind of travel through a story, through the story of the Bible, from even before Adam and Eve, and kind of carry it through even to the end of the Bible as well, and the end of all time. So this should be fun. It's a dark question, right? Because we're talking about something that's not very good. Just like when we talked about why is there evil in the world, it's not a pleasant question. It's not necessarily a fun question, but it is a good question, and it's definitely an interesting question. So let's get into it. So let's start at the very beginning of the Bible, when we are told that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now, one of the questions last week was, why did God create everything that is? Why did he do that? Well, here's what we know from the Bible is that God is perfect, right? We're told many, many times that God is perfect. He's perfect in love. He's perfect in goodness. He's perfect in all the different ways. So he's what that tells us about why God didn't create. He didn't create because he was bored, because he was perfect. If he was bored, he wouldn't be perfect, right? There would be something missing. But when we say that God is perfect, what we mean is that in God himself, just in God, God didn't need anything. He didn't need anyone. He wasn't bored. He wasn't lonely. He wasn't curious to do like an experiment to create people or anything like that. He was just loving, right? And he's the best way I can kind of portray why God created the heavens and the earth is when two people come together and they love one another. I'm starting it like an awkward parent conversation, but when two people come together and they love one another, right? That love in marriage creates life, right? They come together and have kids a lot of the time. And it's kind of the same way, is that God was full of love. He was perfect in love. There was perfect love between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And what happened almost naturally is the best word I could put to it, is that leads to creativity. So God is perfect in creativity as well, because he is full of love. He creates. When you love, you create, right? When I love my wife, I create things for her. When I have friends that I love, I create things for them, right? I create space to be with them. I create unique things for them. And actually, we're told in other places in the Bible, all things were created through Jesus. But here's another important part, for Jesus, right? Told in Colossians that all things were created by him and for him. And so what that's telling us is God created everything for Jesus, right, as an act of love for Jesus. So the creative stuff that came out of God was for Jesus. Now, I don't want you to hear in that means that God doesn't love us and we're just kind of this thing that happened just for Jesus. God does love Jesus, but because he's perfect in love, he also loves us who were created for Jesus. So that's why God created, is he was full of love. Now, here's where we get to our main question today. What we often skip over is that in Genesis 1, it says that God created the heavens and the earth, right? So we are the earth, right? We're on earth, and we live on earth, and we live a life on earth. But God also created the heavens. He created everything that's spiritual as well, the things that we can't see. Another scripture from Colossians, we're told that Jesus is the image of the invisible God, and he created things seen and unseen. And so God created what we know as angels. So before we came along in the picture, God created the heavens and the earth, and he created angels. And angels were these servants, these magnificent beings who are very different than us, but are created and limited. They're not God. We see in the Bible that angels have very powerful, very awe-inspiring abilities, but they are created beings. And here's what I want to make clear about angels: is they're nothing like God. Nothing like God. They are as different from God as we are, okay, because they're created. The only being in all of the universe that doesn't have a creator is God, because he is God. God is, by definition, not created. But everything else, right? We're told in John 1:3, God created everything through him. He's talking about Jesus. God created everything through Jesus, and nothing was created except through him. So angels, demons, everything, right? Now we're going to get to demons in a second, because we're going to start with angels, because demons come from angels. But God created everything that was. He created the angels, he created the heavens, he created the earth. And so an interesting timeline of events is when we start reading Genesis 1:1, before we get to, we know that at Genesis 3, the devil exists because he tempts Adam and Eve. But some point between Genesis 1:1 and then Genesis 3, something happened. Something happened that gives rise to what we now know as demons. And here's what happened. We're told in Jude 6, this is Jude, the brother of Jesus, writing in the New Testament, and he writes, "I remind you of the angels who did not stay within the limits of authority God gave them, but left the place where they belonged. God has kept them securely chained in prisons of darkness, waiting for the great day of judgment." So Jude is writing to the church, and he's reminding them about angels who did not stay within the limits of the authority God gave them. So what happened is very similar to what happened to people, really, right? When we look at the story of Adam and Eve, what happened is that Adam and Eve didn't stay in the place that God had for them. They disobeyed God. They wanted to be like God, we're told, right? When they saw the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it said that they wanted to be like God, and they took it. Hoping that they might become like God. And something similar happened with angels, these other created beings that God created. There was one in particular as well. One in particular that kind of embodied what happened with the angels. And we're told about this in the books of Isaiah and Ezekiel. Now, here's where I want to say something important, is there's very limited information about the devil in the Bible and his story. And here's why: it's not about the devil's story. The Bible is about God's story. The devil is a secondary character, a less important character in God's story. So the story is God's. It's going to focus on what God does and who God is. Now, the devil will only come into it so far as he is relevant to the story of God. Okay? So he doesn't come up. So there's a lot of information we don't know. So there's a lot of myths and legends about the devil, right? For example, we see these silly cartoons of the devil with horns and a whippy tail and holding a pitchfork and kind of crazy things like that, red little devil living in hell. But it's some important things that the Bible really never mentions. It doesn't tell us what he looks like. If anything, the indication and some of the hints that were given in Isaiah and Ezekiel is that actually the devil was beautiful, that he was an angel of light, and was beautiful to behold, right? And that's something we'll talk about here in a second. But there's a lot of other myths and legends. Another kind of legend that's come through church history is that he fell with a third of the angels. We don't really know how many it was. We don't know the exact specific circumstances of what happened. We do know that there was a significant group of angels that, like Satan, wanted to become like God and fell. So this is what we're told in Isaiah about Satan. It says, "How you have fallen from heaven, O shining star." And just as another interest, when you read this in Isaiah, you'll notice before this and after this, Isaiah is prophesying to a king. And this kind of pops up in the middle. It seems a little odd. But it's actually really common for the kind of people that would write the Old Testament, that they would jump between prophesying about what's happening in front of them and then about kind of the big scope of God's story. And this is what we're told, is that you have fallen from heaven, right? So fallen from heaven. Well, we didn't fall from heaven, so it must be talking about an angel. "O shining star, son of the morning, you have been thrown down to the earth, you who destroyed the nations of the world. For you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. I will preside on the mountain of the gods far away in the north. I will climb to the highest heavens and be like the Most High. So this angel, who we will call Lucifer, is one of the names he has. We're told in Isaiah, or it's alluded to in Isaiah, right? Isaiah's not being very specific, right? But Isaiah is alluding that there was an angel fallen from heaven because he wanted to be in the place of God. He wanted to ascend to a higher place than God. He left the position that God had created for him. He didn't like it. He was jealous. He was prideful. He was selfish. And so this happened. And then this is kind of echoed in Ezekiel too. Ezekiel, a prophet in the Old Testament, also says, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Your clothing was adorned with every precious stone, all beautifully crafted for you and set in the finest gold. They were given to you on the day you were created. I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to the holy mountain of God and walked among the stones of fire." It goes on to say, "You were blameless in all you did from the day you were created until the evil was found in you. Your rich your rich commerce led to your violence, and you sinned. So I banished you in disgrace from the mountain of God. I expelled you, Almighty Guardian, from your place among the stones of fire. Your heart was filled with pride because of all your beauty. Your wisdom was corrupted by your love of splendor. So I threw you to the ground and exposed you to the curious gaze of kings." So here's what we know in this story is that this angel, who from the story seems to be beautiful, that God loved him and God bestowed great honor and privilege and recognition on him. But because of that, because of his beauty, because of these things, he felt like he should be higher than God, right? Even though he was created by God, even though he's a created being just like you and I, right? He thought he should be in the place of God, again, much like you and I did. And so God expelled him from heaven, as with another unspecified amount of angels. So this is how the story of sin starts. It's very similar to our own story, right? And it's actually the reason our story starts is because this angel who did this was then sent down, becomes known as the serpent, who appears in Genesis 3 and tempts us, right? Tempts Adam and Eve to do as he did. And so even though I want to be clear that sin is ours and it's our responsibility, right? We don't get a pass just because the devil tempted us. Sometimes we're prone to say things like, "Oh, well, the devil made me do it." You know, the devil does put emphasis on us, and he is the one that created sin and put sin in the world, but we took it. We wanted it. We just like him, we wanted to be in the place of God, and so we sinned too. But from this point on, Satan becomes the enemy of God. He becomes the one who wants to destroy God's work, what God's doing in the world for his own glory, right? God is trying to lift himself up because God is perfect. God is uncreated and full of love. But Satan doesn't like that, so he wants to get in the way of it. And we're reminded, you know, this is important to see because Jesus acknowledges the existence of the devil too, right? It's not just something that's in the Old Testament. Jesus says in the New Testament in Luke 10, "I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning," right? So Satan was expelled out. Now, a few of the important things to know as we get kind of into this story, right, is again, just highlighting how different Satan is from God. So a lot of religions will kind of say that Satan is the opposite of God. He's kind of equal to him, that he's got a lot of power too. I want to make clear that what the Bible tells us is that he's a created being. He's limited. So he can't read your thoughts. He doesn't know everything like God is. He's not everywhere like God is. God's omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient, right? There's the three big O's for who God is. Omnipresent, meaning he's everywhere. Omniscient, meaning he knows everything. And omnipotent, meaning he's all-powerful. He can do whatever he wants. None of those apply to the devil, right? And sometimes the devil has persuaded us to think of him almost like that. In Mormonism, they think of the devil kind of as he's actually the brother of Jesus and he's equal to. That's not what the Bible teaches. He's not equal to God. He's nothing like God. God could squish him in a second if he wanted to, because God is omnipotent, all-knowing, he's all-powerful, he's all-knowing, and he's everywhere, right? He's omnipresent. The devil is completely limited, right? He's as limited as people are. He can't be everywhere. He doesn't know these things. And this is really important because we need to get an accurate perspective as Christians of who the devil really is, who Satan really is. He's not what he makes himself out to be, right? Which kind of leads us to the next thing that's important about Satan when we talk about him. So this is how his story starts. But let's talk about what's his role? What does he do? Like, how does he affect us, right? And the first thing that we're told about him is that he's a liar. He's a liar, right? He persuades us to think of himself and of God and other people in ways that are not true. Jesus said this in John 8. He says, "You are children of your father, the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth because there's no truth in him. When he lies, it's consistent with his character, for he's a liar and the father of lies." So what Jesus tells us, one of the most important things about sin is he's a liar. He's a liar. He lied to Adam and Eve. He lied to himself about who he was and how important he was. He lies to us about who God is. He lies to us about who he is. He lies to us about what other people are like. And it just leads to an absolute mess because he's an expert liar, right? He's an expert. He's the father of lies. It's all he does all the time is lie, 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 lie. And this is how he's tricked us into thinking a lot of bad things about him, right? He is not dangerous to God. God has him completely in control. There's a really great book in the Old Testament called Job, and it's a very sad book because there's a lot of suffering in it. But there's almost humorous scene right at the start where the devil has to ask permission of God to do anything, right? Because he's under God's authority. God has him completely where he wants him. The devil is not going to win a war. It's not like we watch Harry Potter and we think of Voldemort like the devil. He's this really powerful, dangerous. And the devil is dangerous to us, but not to God. Not to God in the slightest. God is far more powerful than the devil. That's important to know. But what the devil is a liar, right? He lies to us. He tells us that God is cruel, that God wants bad things for us, that God's holding fun things back from us, that he's just a rule follower that wants to put rules in, right? This is the kind of things that Satan has told us. What he told Adam and Eve in the beginning is, hey, God's lying to you, right? He says that he's got good things for you, but he's just trying to hold that fruit from that tree back for you. And this is what he does: he's so good at lying. He takes half-truths. He takes things that God says and he twists them, right? He twists them. And again, the reason why he's doing this, the reason why he's twisting and he's lying to us, is he wants to destroy what God loves. God loves us. And so he wants to deceive us so that we end up going into self-destruction. You know, the song that we just sung and the story that it tells of the prodigal son, the lie in there that the prodigal son believed was that there was more joy to be found outside of his father's house, right? He wanted to leave his father with all of his money and go live his own life. That's kind of the lie that we've all believed, that we've bought from Satan, is that if we go and try and make and be gods for ourselves and decide what our life should look like, and we are in charge, that we could make life better than God could for us. And the truth is we can't. We can't, because God's perfect in love. He's perfect in goodness. He's perfect in righteousness. And so the best possible life conceivable for us is under God's authority and with God as our Father. And so unfortunately, all of us, not a single human being has ever managed to escape this lie that Satan started. And of course, he lies to us about other things, right? And that he lies to us about how God feels about us, or God's disappointed in you, God doesn't like you, God is angry with you, right? He chooses to manipulate these things that all have like a basis in truth. Like God's angry about sin, and he doesn't like sin, but what sin does is he uses it and he tries to make us think differently about God because of that. Oh, well, if God's angry about sin, then you're a sinner, then that must mean he's angry with you and he hates you, right? And he twists things like that. And he lies to us and says, you know, if you find yourself in popularity, if you find yourself in money or romance or sex or all these other things that exist in the world, if you go and chase all these other things, that it might make you happy, right? This is the lie that Satan tells us, but God has got good for us, and God says, no, those things don't lead to life. So let's keep going. Because the other thing about him is that Satan is an accuser. So number one is he's a liar. Number one, he's a liar. Number two, he's also an accuser. This is from Revelation 12. It says, "Then I heard a loud voice shouting across the heavens, 'It has come at last, salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters has been thrown down to earth, the one who accuses them before our God day and night.'" And then again in the book of Zechariah, we're told in verse 1 of Zechariah 3, "The angel showed me Jeshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, and the accuser, Satan, was there at the angel's right hand making accusations against Jeshua." Now Satan is actually a Hebrew word that means adversary. Satan is just a Hebrew word. It just means adversary. And so that's kind of how it's become his name, because he's our adversary who accuses us. And what we mean by accuse is that he kind of holds up all the things that we've done wrong, right? He comes against us and says, well, see, you've lied, you've cheated, and he reminds us of all of our sin, right? This is something that I know he uses against me a lot, and maybe you can sympathize is sometimes we remember all the things we've done wrong in life, all the ways that we failed God and let God down and let other people down that we love. And what Satan does is he keeps a long list of these things, and he just brings them up constantly. He just accuses us, right? And he comes even before God and says, look, see these things that these people have done wrong. And this is the reason why God sent Jesus to save us. Jesus paid for our sin and dealt with our sin so that when Satan comes to accuse us, God can say, well, Jesus has paid for that. So what genuinely happens is that each day of my life, Satan goes and he accuses me, and he stands before God and says, see, he's a selfish person, right? I am a selfish person. He's got that right. He's not lying about that. But what Satan is lying about is he deserves punishment. He deserves punishment for that. He deserves not to be with you, God, because he's sinned, because he hasn't lived the way you've called him to. And I haven't lived the way I've called him to. But Jesus came and lived the way that I was supposed to. And Jesus died the death that I was supposed to die. And Jesus was risen again so that God can say, when Satan comes with that accusation and says, punish Andrew for what he's done, God can say, no, I've already punished Jesus. Jesus has already took the penalty. He's already took the punishment for sin. So Andrew's not going to be punished. And so I want you to know when you feel accused, when you feel like your sin is stacking up on your shoulders, number one, that's Satan's voice. That's the voice of your enemy, your adversary, your accuser, who is holding against you all the mistakes you've made. And I want you to know that God's voice speaks into that the voice of Jesus speaks into that and says, yes, it's true that we've all made mistakes. It's true that we have not lived as we should. It's true that we've all fallen short of the glory of God. But Jesus hasn't. And Jesus has paid for all of us who trust in his name. All of us who believe in Jesus and have faith in Jesus and trust in Jesus, he wipes the slates clean. So our accuser has nothing to accuse us with anymore because all of our sin has been paid for. See, one of my favorite songs ever is a song called Embracing Accusation by a band called Shane and Shane. And the whole song is really about how the devil's right is that none of us are the people that we should be, but Jesus has saved us, despite the fact that we're not who we should be, right? Just like the son, the prodigal son, he wasn't who he was supposed to be, but the Father saved him by his love, right? And God saves us by his love. So there are two things to know about Satan, right? We know his story, where he came from, and then what we need to know his role in our lives is, one, he's a liar. He lies to us about God. He tries to make us believe things about God that's false. And two, he accuses us, right? But what ends up to Satan in the end? Where does he go? Where's his story end? Well, we're told in Colossians 2:15, in this way, he, meaning Jesus, disarmed the spiritual rulers and authorities. He shamed them publicly by his victory over them on the cross. And so what Jesus does is that by going to the cross, as we've just said a moment ago, he defeats sin because he wipes out anything that Satan could accuse us with. And at the same time, Jesus says, I'm the truth. He destroys Satan's lies by showing us who God really is. He's loving and merciful and gracious and kind and good and forgiving. And so Jesus comes to destroy the work of sin by doing the two exact opposite things of what Satan does. Satan lies, Jesus tells the truth. Satan accuses, Jesus forgives. Satan lies, Jesus tells the truth, and Satan accuses, and Jesus forgives. And so Jesus destroys the work of the devil by doing the exact opposite of him. Okay? Super important for us to know. And this is why we trust in Jesus. This is why I want you to trust in Jesus, is because Jesus loves you. He will never lie to you. And he will also never accuse you. He will always tell you the truth and what's good for you. Even when those truths are hard, he will still tell you it because he loves you and he wants good for you. And Jesus will also always, always, always forgive you if you come to him in repentance and you lay your life down and say, I'm sorry, Lord, please forgive me. He delights to forgive you. He delights to show kindness to you and fill you with his Spirit and help you. Jesus is your defender against your enemy. So if some of this is frightening to you and you think about this character in the Bible who we're told accuses us and lies to us and was there from the beginning and is dangerous to us because he's so good at lying. He's been around since the beginning of time, right? The one thing that does make him different than us is he's immortal. The devil and his demons are immortal. They live on. They've lived for eternity, and so they're very, very smart. Because imagine you lived forever and all the things that you could learn. Right? He knows us inside out, and he's really good at studying us and watching us. So he can convince us that he reads our minds, even though he can't, because he just watches us, and his demons watch us, and they learn about us. Right? But that doesn't need to frighten you, because Jesus has defeated him. And remember what I told you. Right? Is the devil even close to being dangerous to God? No. Oh, no. Not at all. Right? And I love this verse. It says in Colossians 2, he shamed them. He shamed the demons, right? Jesus, the one man Jesus, so powerful, shamed them. He embarrassed them. He humiliated demons and Satan by destroying them through his work, his victory over them on the cross. And then we're told in Revelation 20, the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the fiery lake of burning sulfur, joining the beast and the false prophet. There they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is at the end of the Bible. This is the end of the story now. Revelation is a vision that was given to one of Jesus' good friends, John. And in this vision, God basically shows him what's going to happen at the end of all time. Jesus is going to return, make everything right. And at the end of time, the devil, who had deceived us, who's lied to us, who caused all this mess in the first place by lying to Adam and Eve, is going to be thrown into the fiery lake of burning sulfur, into hell, essentially. And this is where we get the idea of hell. So another misconception about the devil is he's the ruler of hell. Nope. He's a prisoner in hell, right? That's where he's headed. He is going to hell at the end of all time. He doesn't rule there. He will not rule there. He will be a prisoner there, where he'll be tormented day and night forever. Now, there's a lot of things in Revelation that are very confusing, and I would love some time to spend more time studying that book with you guys to explain some of the really tricky parts of it, but I don't want you to get lost in some of what's going on here in the image. The key thing to know is what this means is that at the end of time, Jesus is going to conquer the devil and put him in hell forever, right? And punish him for what he's done to us and all the pain he's caused and all the horror he's caused in the world through his lies and through his accusations. Now, where this kind of leaves us then is that we've got one more question to answer, is because if this is what he's going to do at the end of time, the question comes, if he's that powerful and he's going to do this in the end of time, why doesn't he just do it right now? Right? Wouldn't that make life a lot easier for us if we didn't have Satan trying to deceive us and lie to us and confuse us and accuse us, right? Why doesn't he just get rid of him now? And unfortunately, my deep theological answer for that is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't do that. That's one of the questions we all struggle with, is why doesn't God just make everything right now? Why does he? Why do we live these lives where we have to wrestle, right? Because the Bible talks about spiritual warfare. We have to wrestle against the lies of the enemy, and we have to fight for the truth. We have to learn the truth from Jesus. Why not just get rid of the guy who's lying? Again, I don't know. But here's what I think the Bible does give us help thinking about that question. Is we know in the Bible, and Pastor Jeff actually talked about this morning in his sermon when he was talking about everything happens for a reason. If you want to go back and watch that, if you missed it. But in there, Jeff was talking about kind of, we always say everything happens for a reason, and that's kind of half true, is that everything does ultimately happen for the reason of God making good things. But in the middle of that, there's these confusing things. And this is one of them, right? Like, why does he let the devil go? Well, here's what we know. We know that God intends good for people. So there must be a really good reason why he doesn't just deal with him now, right? I don't know what it is. I genuinely don't know. But that's okay, because I'm not God, right? It's because I'm not God, it makes sense that there's part of God's plan that don't make sense to me. It's confusing because I'm not God. I don't know everything like God does. I'm not perfect like God is, and where he can create a perfect plan for all of us. But what we must know is, by allowing this to happen, some good is going to come of it somehow, right? He wouldn't just let it happen needlessly, right? He doesn't waste it, right? And so I think part of it is that God grows us in the truth because we wrestle, right? It's good to wrestle. Like if you ever go and exercise, right? If you're working out, the way that your muscles grow is through resistance, through difficulty, right? You have to lift something that's hard for you. And by doing that, your muscles learn and they grow in order to compensate. I think our hearts grow in the truth of God when we face lies, when we have to confront lies. Even Jesus himself, was confronted by lies from Satan, and we're told in the Gospels that Satan came and lied to Jesus and tried to tempt him, and Jesus confronted him with the truth. And I think we're all called to do the same thing, right? We're all called to, when these lies come up in our life, to confront them with the truth of God and say, you know what, this is not true. This is what Jesus says about me. He says he loves me, that he's forgiven me, that he's paid for my sin on the cross. He told me to find myself in him, to make him the axis of my life, that that's what's good for me, that my highest joy and the best chance for joy in my life is to be with God, under God, for God. And so we've got to do those things, right? Now, if we didn't have an enemy to contend with, and this is pure speculation, right? And I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying, oh, well, it's good that the devil does all the horrible things to, help us grow. Obviously, it's not. It's horrible. I wish we could get rid of him today, because he's tormented and caused a lot of pain, and continues to cause a lot of pain in the world. But if God is allowing this, God's got a good reason for it, is what I'm trying to say. Right? God loves us and wants to do good things in our heart. And I think another thing is, when we look at the story of Job, right? Now, in the story of Job, I mentioned a little bit earlier, in Job's story, I'm just going to close these scriptures because we're done with them. But in Job's story, it's the story of a man who, Satan does a lot of horrible stuff to Job, right? He lets a lot of really painful things. Job's family dies. He loses everything. He gets sick. And you wonder, why did God let this happen? And at the end of that story, God returns to Job twice-fold, like more than double what he lost. And throughout that, Job gets to know God better too, as well, right? And sometimes through suffering and through hardships, we get to see a side of God that we wouldn't see otherwise. So I don't think that that's the whole reason, right? Because those don't explain away all the horrible things about sin. But I think those are some of the reasons why God allows this enemy to exist. But I want to end on the high note of just knowing and being encouraged together that this guy, as scary as he likes to make himself appear, and he is dangerous, but he's nothing compared to our God. He's nothing compared to our God. He can't do what he does in silly horror movies, like all these movies we see out there that make him seem like this horrible monster that can do all these things. He's limited. I want you to remember, he's a created being like angels, right? He's not as powerful as God. He's nothing like God. He's just a liar and accuser. He's just really good at lying and convincing us of things, and he's really good at accusing us, right? And another really good book to read about the devil and on demons in general, and it's by Pastor Jeff's favorite C.S. Lewis, is the Screwtape Letters. The Screwtape Letters is a book by C.S. Lewis. It's a fiction, but it imagines kind of what a conversation between two demons would look like as they try and tempt a human. And the reason why I think it's really good is it basically shows that demons are just liars. What they try and do in the life of this human being in the book is just convince him of things that aren't true and distract him from God and keep his eyes off God. And that's a lot more of what Satan does than what we think. We normally think, oh, he's like this scary monster, but really he just wants to distract us from God. He just wants us to keep our eyes off God by lying to us and accusing us. So the best thing that we can do to fight sin is to put our attention on Jesus, is to put our mind on Jesus. And again, this is why the story of the Bible has relatively little to say about Satan, is because he is not a main character in the story. He's around, and we should know about him, and we should be prepared for spiritual battle. But the way you prepare for spiritual battle is to learn about God, about the one who has won the battle for you, the one who has defeated Satan for you, right? Learn about him. Put all your heart and your mind and your attention into learning about Jesus, right? Because that's how you're going to win. Satan wants to have the attention on him, because if the attention's on him, it's away from the one who can beat him and squish him like a bug, right? Because Satan's dangerous to me, but not to Jesus. So I want to put my attention on Jesus. And maybe the best way to finish this and think about this in a story is the story of David and Goliath, right? David goes down in the valley, right? And he could be distracted, super distracted by Goliath, who's huge, 9 feet, huge spear, huge shield, covered in armor. But what he does is he goes down in that valley. And if you remember the story, what David does, he says, I remember who my God is. My God's bigger than you, Goliath. Even though you're dangerous to me, you're not dangerous to my God. And because he trusts that, because David puts his eyes on God, he's able to defeat Goliath. And that's what that whole story is about, right? Is putting our eyes on on God, right? And ultimately what that story is about is Jesus. Jesus is David who goes down and fights Satan for us, and he puts his eyes on his Father and he defeats Satan for us. Yeah, be encouraged, and let this this kind of question be a reminder to you of how important the story of Jesus is, more so than even the story of Satan. So, guys, that's our big question for this week. I would love for you to punch some more questions in the live chat if you have any that you would like to do on future weeks. Just a few announcements for the coming weeks. We are not going to meet. There's not going to be any Access Live next week because it's Father's Day, and I want you guys to be with dads. I want you to spend time with your fathers, with your families. So make sure that you guys are doing that. But then in 2 weeks, I'm really excited about this. We're going to throw a party at my house. We're going to have s'mores. We're going to have a grill out. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have some garden games. You guys can maybe try out the treehouse hammock. Yeah, I want to invite you guys over in 2 weeks from tonight. So that is going to be June 28th. Come over to my house. All the details of this will be coming. I'll send out an email to parents, and I'll make sure to post some information on our YouTube page and on the students page. But you're invited to my house for again, s'mores, bonfire, talking about Jesus, and having a good time. Generally, hanging out together. So make sure you remember that 2 weeks from tonight. Other things that are kind of going on right now, make sure you keep on Wednesday Night Live. This week we've got a special guest. If you liked my singing, this guy's 10 times better than me, so check him out, Matthew West, this Wednesday. And then, of course, church is on Sunday. And we're getting really close to being able to regather. July 12th is going to be our first time as a church coming back together. We're going to gather outside at our Kesslinger campus. So, guys, I miss y'all as always. I'm really looking forward. I can see the end of Stay at Home. Hopefully you guys can see it too. Really looking forward to when we can be back together and spend time together and talk about questions like this together instead of over a YouTube channel. But love you guys. It's been good hanging out. Van Rossums, hope you recover from the loss tonight. I know that was pretty brutal for you guys. Don't cry too much. Aaron's well done. Nailed it. Killed it. As always, if you've got other questions you want to talk about, make sure to email them. But we're going to love you and leave you for now. I'm going to enjoy, as the sun goes down, hanging out in the treehouse. See you guys. Take care.